Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Temple Law School's 125th commencement exercises. Welcome, class of 2026. To begin our ceremony, I ask that those present please stand as you are able and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. Thank you to Nolene Ermson, who is an Associate Director in our Office of Student Services. Everyone may now be seated. The land on which Temple Law School sits is part of the ancestral land of the Lenape Nation, and we pay respect to the caretakers of this land from time immemorial until now into the future. Congratulations, Temple Law class of 2026. You made it! The day you have been working toward, the day you promised your friends and family would mark your return from somewhere deep inside the library, that day has arrived. In a short time, you will be Temple Law graduates. You are Temple made, and we are very Temple proud. When people talk about being Temple made, they often point to markers such as grit, determination, and the ability to find your footing in a demanding environment. Those qualities are real, and all of you have them. But what I've come to appreciate more deeply is that being Temple made is just as much about connection as it is about drive. It's about choosing a place that challenges you, supports you, and ultimately becomes part of how you understand yourself and your place in the world. And the idea of being part of something matters more today than ever. I have had the privilege of serving as your interim dean this year, a brief but meaningful chapter in the life of a law school that has long been shaped by steady, committed leadership. Stepping into this role, even for a short time, made one thing especially clear. What defines Temple Law is not any single person, but the strength of the community itself. We are living in an uncertain time when the questions of who belongs, who is included, who is heard, who is protected, they feel newly urgent. These are not abstract questions. They are showing up in our laws, in our institutions, and in the daily lives of the clients you will serve as lawyers. At its best, the law is a vehicle for belonging. The law can exclude, but it can also expand. And the responsibility that comes with your law degree is not just to understand those boundaries, but to think carefully about how they should be shaped. Temple law has given you more than legal knowledge. It has given you a model of what belonging can look like. This is a place where you have been expected to show up as you are and meet others where they are. A place where difference is not something to be managed, but something that strengthens the whole. A place built on empathy, kindness, and respect. At Temple Law, these are not aspirations, but daily practices. I have experienced that sense of belonging in countless ways, through colleagues who have supported me as I tentatively stepped into the dean's office, through students who have challenged and inspired me this year, and through the staff and administrators whose work makes everything we do possible. The Temple Law community is sustained by the care and commitment of the people in it, and you are part of that ongoing story. As you leave today, you will enter a profession that is itself grappling with questions of belonging. Who has access to justice? Who feels seen and heard in our legal system? Who trusts it and who does not? These are not easy questions, and they do not have simple answers, but they are questions that will need your attention, your judgment, and your integrity. Being Temple Made means you are prepared for that work. It means you understand that excellence and access are not competing values, but mutually reinforcing ones. It means you know how to build community, not just within familiar spaces, but across difference and disagreement. And it means recognizing that the law is not static. Its boundaries are shaped every day by the people who practice it. When you leave here, you will take on new roles and new responsibilities. You will advocate, advise, and negotiate. In all of those roles, you will have opportunities, both small and significant, to make spaces more inclusive, just, and humane. So yes, we are living in a time of uncertainty, but we are also living in a time that calls for clarity about our values, our responsibilities, and our capacity to shape the communities that we are a part of. We are in a time that calls for lawyers who are courageous, resilient, and who can navigate and lead. As someone who has been your professor, your associate dean for academic affairs, and your interim dean, I know you have what it takes. You see, while today is a day that will be filled with happy moments and messages and posts that are shiny and exciting and photo ready, I have had the privilege to see you. I mean really, truly see you. And I know that behind this moment are thousands of moments that were hard and painful and challenging. I know about the early mornings and the late nights. I know about the financial struggles and personal illnesses, about some of you who lost people that you loved during the last few years, about parents and children and partners who were sick and needed your time and care, about worries over paying for rent, paying for medication, or paying for food. I watched you show up for each other and watch the students who had strength to spare share it with classmates who needed a hand. I see you, all of you, and I want you to know that the strength and determination and generosity that you called upon to get to this beautiful, glittery moment, this culmination of all of it is going to serve you all well into the future. It is what makes you ready for the important work ahead. It is what makes you Temple Made and makes us very Temple proud. One of our proudest traditions at Commencement is to celebrate the contributions of a very special group of graduates. At Temple, we work hard to instill in our students a pro bono ethic that sets our profession apart from others. Students who demonstrate dedication to public service earn membership in the Rubin Public Interest Law Society. This year, 45 students achieved this honor, more than 1/5 of the class. Together, They performed more than 5,000 hours of pro bono service and countless more hours of work in government offices, judicial chambers, nonprofits, and clinical settings. Would the members of the Rubin Public Interest Law Society rise as you are able and be recognized? We also know that the class of 2026 has not accomplished all of this alone. One of our most cherished traditions at commencement is to recognize our graduates' parents, children, siblings, friends, partners, and spouses, the people who have shared your journey through law school with you. Would the family and friends of our graduates in the audience please rise as you are able, and graduates, please join me in thanking those who have supported you through law school. Thank you, family and friends, for everything you have done to make today possible. We are grateful to you for sharing your loved ones with us. There is another group of people who deserve our gratitude today. Our Temple Law faculty and administration have been tireless in helping you earn an exceptional legal education. They have created new courses and clinics to prepare you for practice in a changing world, offered support and mentorship as you took on the challenges of law school and legal practice, pushed you to expand the horizons of your imagination, and worked to make our law school an inclusive space for every member of our community. To my friends and colleagues on the faculty and in the administration, thank you for your unflagging commitment to our students and for your investment in their future careers. We are delighted to be joined today by Stuart Cohen, Temple Law Class of 1977, and Kenneth Scott, members of the university's Board of Trustees. Thank you for your leadership, support, and guidance of the university, Temple Law School, and the legal profession. You are truly models for our graduates. Would you please rise so that we may recognize you? I would also like to acknowledge Grant Rodden, Temple University Class of 1983, Temple Law Class of 1987, President of the Temple Law Foundation, and Chair of Temple Law's Board of Visitors. Grant, will you please rise so we can recognize you? Grant, thank you for your steadfast leadership and commitment to Temple Law. Finally, I would like to acknowledge our special guest, the Honorable Mitchell Goldberg, Temple Law Class of 1986, and a member of the Board of Visitors, who I'll introduce more formally in a moment. Judge Goldberg, you have demonstrated an ethic of service and leadership and an enduring commitment to the advocacy community. Thank you for the many ways in which you inspire Temple students. Class of 2026, the networked community of people invested in your success, family and friends, classmates and faculty, administrators and alumni, is deep and broad and strong. We will be there to offer counsel and always be cheering you on. Congratulations again. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Class of 2026 Evening Division class speaker, Nebi Mima. Nebi was born in Albania and immigrated to the United States with his family at the age of 2. He graduated cum laude from Drexel University with degrees in accounting, finance, and legal studies, and is a certified public accountant. For more than 9 years, Nebi has worked in public accounting. He currently works in mergers and acquisitions tax, focusing on the state tax consequences of transactions and restructurings. In 2025, he won first place in the Tax Notes student writing competition for his article on constitutional limits on state taxation. Nebi is a first-generation law school graduate. Will you please join me in welcoming Nebi now?
Thank you, Dean Murray. I want to first thank my family who have supported my journey throughout law school. In no order, my wife, my parents, my in-laws, and even my siblings. You carried me more through than I had the right to ask, and I'm grateful for that. And before I get to my prepared remarks, I want to tell a quick story that happened 10 minutes ago. As I was talking to one of our classmates, Doug Sasso, he says, "Nabi, are you nervous?" And I'm like, "Of course." And he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Well, it's okay. If you screw up, there's always next year." So those are the encouraging words you could expect. But I won't lie, brainstorming and writing this speech was so much more tougher than anticipated because I wanted to get away from like the generic speech that everyone hears per se and closer to telling 4 years of law school in a conversational story. So I asked our classmates for their input on the speech, and I got great feedback for the most part. You know, for example, Sam Parat mentioned Temple's law school rankings over the past 4 years. And apparently, the last time I checked, there were over 200 law schools in the United States, and when we entered in the evening division 4 years ago, Temple was 63rd, which isn't bad, top 33%. I take it for my grades. And in the past 4 years, we shot up over almost 15 spots to 49th, tied with Villanova Law School. And I think, yeah, that's a testament to everyone here. And now, Sam says University of Pennsylvania is next, but well, we'll see about that. And one of our other classmates, Doug Sasso, said that the evening program was the only way he could have gone to law school. And he's not the only one. That goes for me, that goes for a lot of us in this graduating class trying to juggle work, family, and just life in general. Now I want to talk about the class for a minute. When Canvas wasn't being hacked, I went on the site and looked at the original roster, which was tougher than I anticipated. And I think we started with around 27 evening students. And we picked up a few transfers along the way from other schools, and around 17 of us are sitting here today. That means 10 or so transfers to the day division, and for reasons I still don't know to this day. But of those 17, we get to know each other whether we wanted to or not. You know, 4 years in a class this small, there's really nowhere to hide. Now, before I get to the things we'll miss about law school, I want to go over the things we won't miss about law school. First, it's sitting in front of the computers at 11:59 a.m., trying to register for classes, just clicking the refresh page. And the interesting thing about the evening division is the fact that we're praying the day students don't take our spots. And then second is leaving a final exam with the feeling either you really did poorly or you just failed it. And I don't think that feeling is going to leave at least until after the bar exam. Now, of course, when it comes to the things we will miss from law school, I think it just boils down to the people. You know, we ended up next to people we'd otherwise never meet, like teachers, well, former teachers, detectives, police officers, VPs of companies, you know, banking associates, you know, people who already had their lives and careers, and they decided to do this on top of everything else. And you know, we were in a group that thought the same way. We came from different careers, different backgrounds, you know, ranged from the United Kingdom, to South Africa, to Cambodia, to Macedonia, everywhere in the world. And those perspectives shaped the lives we'd led. And that's the one thing I found about the evening division that I greatly valued is that we just didn't learn the law in the classroom, we learned the law next to people who disagreed with us. Sometimes loudly, I've been told, and about the things that mattered. And we had to make our case anyway. And the same thing happened outside of Klein Hall in the broader political atmosphere. You know, whether it's voting rights, healthcare, taxation, you name it, because there's a sense of belief that the reason of our vision of a better world does not exist is because there's a greater force pulling the strings out there, like someone is acting in bad faith, or the only thing standing in the way between us and the right outcome is someone else's failure of will. You know, if only Congress had a backbone, if only the opposing counsel was honest, if only the bar examiners were reasonable, decent people, and if only judges had the courage to rule the way we want them to. And it's a very tempting set of beliefs, because if the problem is someone else's courage, we don't have to do the harder thing, which is figure out why that person believes what they believe in. You know, it's also tempting because the alternative is harder. You know, we could persuade a classmate, a friend, you know, a neighbor, or even family members on things. You know, it's slow, frustrating, and time-consuming, but it is possible. But one thing we can't do is persuade, you know, a monolithic, all-encompassing corporate establishment. So if that's the obstacle, all this work feels pointless. But if we believe that, why did we spend all those years in law school? Why did we show up, you know, X amount of nights per week, miss time with our families? I mean, some people would prefer that. Why did we put our lives on hold? You know, if the game is fixed, none of this matters, and I don't think anyone in this graduating class believes that. And I think the truth is much simpler than that, is that people just genuinely disagree with each other. There's no nefarious motive behind it. And it's not because they're stupid or not because they're tricked in some way, but because they just see it differently than we do. And that's true in the courtroom, and that's true in politics, and that's true in our own lives. And the work is sitting across from someone who thinks we're wrong and making our case anyway. And I believe 4 years in the evening division is proof we could do that. Temple Law started in 1895 as a program for evening students, and over 131 years later, they're still running for a class of 17. And as mentioned before, some of us wouldn't be here without it. To our faculty and staff who reorganized their lives and their evenings for us, there is no evening division without you, and I want to say thank you. And to our classmates, while we argued for 4 years, we're still standing here together. And in about 10 weeks, many of us will sit for the bar. And after that, for the first time in 40 years, we will never get Temple's emergency alert text messages again. Congratulations, class of 2026. Now, I have the honor of presenting the class gift award. Dean Murray, on behalf of the class of 2026, it is my honor to present you with this gift. The class gift is a long-standing tradition at Temple Law School. It's the first step for many of us on our road to continue and strengthen our relationship with our alma mater. We celebrate that as of today, we are official members of the Temple alumni community. This donation is our collective effort to support the law school's future and express our appreciation as students. These funds will support one incoming day student and one incoming evening student with financial need. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the class of 2026, for this class gift. Your generosity and commitment to the future of Temple Law is deeply appreciated, and thank you, Nebi, for your thoughtful remarks. It is now my pleasure to introduce our Day Division class speaker for the class of 2026, Marco Granston. Marco was born and raised in Jamaica. He immigrated to the United States at age 17, where he then attended high school in Hamilton, New Jersey. Before coming to law school, Marco worked as a food delivery driver, Uber driver, and Amazon warehouse associate. Marco earned his bachelor's degree in criminology from the College of New Jersey in 2023. We were fortunate that Marco chose Temple Law. Here, he served as a staff editor on the Temple International and Comparative Law Journal, was a member of Temple Law's national trial team, and was co-president of the Black Law Students Association. Marco completed internships at the United States Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania and the Community Health Law Project in New Jersey. After graduation, Marco plans to remain in Philadelphia and focus on civil litigation. Marco is the first person in his family to graduate from college, and in about 45 minutes will cross the stage and become the first person in his family to graduate from law school. We are so very proud of him, and I am delighted to welcome Marco to the podium at this time.
Hello, everybody. Hi. This speech has very little to do with law school. I mean, you guys were there. You know what happened. So instead of talking about penuriar or supplemental jurisdiction, I want to talk about you. The title of this speech is Who Are You Becoming? We gather here today to celebrate achievement, and we should. You did the hard work to get here. You challenged yourselves. You had to learn and think in ways that might have felt unnatural. But while we were busy becoming lawyers, something else was happening. We were also changing as people. Over the last 3 years, the world outside our classrooms has not been quiet. We have lived through a polarizing presidential election, government shutdowns, attacks on the rule of law and DEI, wars spreading across the globe, and discrimination right here at home. But in all of this, these injustices and these issues give us an opportunity to think about the direction the world is moving in and our role in it. As future lawyers, we all have a responsibility to create a more just and equitable society. But that cannot happen unless you, as individuals, determine that equality and justice are worthwhile pursuits. It might seem simple. I am sure we can all agree that this world was not made for strife, corruption, violence, or suffering. It was made for peace, shared experiences, and principled unity. But too often, people are judged before they are known, dismissed before they are heard, condemned before they are understood. This results from a failure to acknowledge our shared human experience, where our beliefs and attitudes create mental barriers that diminish our ability to appreciate how similar we all truly are. And if we're honest, none of us are completely untouched by that. We all carry assumptions. We all inherit biases. We all find it easier to care when the pain is close to us, and harder to care when suffering belongs to strangers. But for a moment, if you are able to put those assumptions and biases aside, you might see that the only thing we truly have to live for is each other. Let us take this moment, for example. Today is a joyous day. Us being in this room together with our friends and families is truly a blessing. Do not let that be lost on you. But what makes this moment so great, what makes it so special, is that it is shared. Because you recognize and appreciate each other for taking this law school journey together. You bonded during those late night study sessions. Some of you bonded over drinks at Max's before, during, and after those study sessions. Amir, I'm looking at you. You grew closer when you argued about which section was the smart section, whether it was section 1 or section 2, because everyone agreed it was not section 3. In other words, all of you sitting here today, in some way or another, empathize with those seated next to you. Not because you share the same beliefs, but because you endured and persisted together. Because empathy is not agreement. Empathy does not require that we share every belief. It does not ask us to abandon our principles. It asks us something different. To focus on our shared human understanding instead of the differences between us. If there is one thing I hope we carry from this education, it is not only the ability to analyze facts or interpret precedent. I hope we carry the ability to see people fully. Because the law, at its best, is not just rules and procedures. It is, at its core, about recognizing and appreciating human dignity. So, again, I ask, who are you becoming? Are you becoming someone who only cares when an issue affects you personally? Are you becoming someone who loses empathy for the sake of winning an argument? Or are you becoming someone who can still recognize humanity, even when it belongs to people who look different, vote different, worship different, love different, or simply live far away from you? The answers to those questions are very important, because soon, many of us will enter courtrooms, classrooms, firms, and public offices. We will have responsibilities. Some of us will hold influence. Some of us will make decisions that affect people during the hardest moments of their lives. When that day comes, intelligence will matter, yes, but your character, who you are, will matter more. One of history's greatest philosophers, Miley Cyrus, told us, it's about the climb. It's about the journey. It's about who you become while pursuing your life's purpose. Did ambition make you cruel or disciplined? Did struggle make you bitter or more understanding? Did success make you proud or grateful? Look around this room. Friends who helped you laugh when stress was high, family who believed in you when you doubted yourselves, professors who challenged you, some who took the challenge a bit too serious, loved ones who sacrificed for you, people who made this moment possible. This room is full of achievement, yes, but more importantly, it is full of relationships. When you look back at the best moments of your life, you will not be thinking about the things that separated us, or perspectives, or backgrounds, or identities. What you will remember is who stood beside you, who showed up, who loved you. So as we leave here today, let us be ambitious. Let us be excellent. Let us all be better people. To become people who are hard to corrupt, slow to judge, people who can hold power with humility, who do not need others to suffer in order for us to succeed, who remain humble, knowing deep down that you had almost no control over what this life has given you. The world will ask what we accomplished. How did you become successful? But remember, success is not something you obtain. Success is something you attract because of the person that you are. Only you can answer what the world will make of you, or better yet, what you will make of the world. So wherever life takes you next, whether to a courtroom, a boardroom, or somewhere you cannot yet imagine, carry this question with you. Who are you becoming? God bless you all. Congratulations, class of 2026. Thank you. I got one more thing. I have the pleasure of presenting the George P. Williams III Memorial Award, which is given to a professor chosen by the graduating class for excellence in teaching. To say that the winner of this year's award is popular would be an understatement. The speed in which his class is filled is a testament to his dedication, the respect he garners from his students, and his commitment to exceptional legal education. It was my privilege to be his student, and I'm honored to announce that the recipient of this year's award is Professor Zamir Bendan. Thank you. I'll put your
I'm quite sure you don't want me to start from the beginning, so I have to find my spot. I am honored to accept this on behalf of Professor Bendan, who was in attendance at the prize and award ceremony earlier today, but not able to attend this particular ceremony. I told Professor Bendan that I would share a portion of his remarks with you at this ceremony. Professor Bendan expressed his congratulations to the class of 2026 and his gratitude for this award, especially because he has only been a member of the Temple faculty for 4 years. He went on to say the following: "In the 4 years that I have taught here, I have never simply talked about what was in the textbook when it came to my doctrinal classes. I brought in my own life and practice experiences, and I talked about societal inequalities and how they interplay with the law. I talked about racism. I talked about classism. I talked about sexism. I talked about these isms and how they both influence and are influenced by the law. I talked about these things because I firmly believe that is only by recognizing how law functions in reality, serving and disserving various segments of the population, that attorneys can most ably serve the communities they represent." Professor Bandan went on to encourage our graduates to call upon their strength and the strength of their predecessors to disrupt the isms in a profession that is resistant to change, and he thanked our students for giving him some of his own strength. If you want to know what sets Temple apart, you need look no further than educators like Professor Bandan. As dean, I am proud to note that we are so lucky to have Zamir as a colleague, teacher, friend, and mentor. I have one more award to present. In the fall of 2024, the law school lost Professor James Schellenberger, himself a Williams Award winner many times over. Commencement was Shell's favorite day of the year. He served for many years as Chief Faculty Marshal. As part of his legacy, in 2025, we created the James A. Schellenberger Memorial Award for Law School Service to be conferred each year at commencement. This award honors a full-time faculty member for their sustained service and significant contributions to the law school. There is no better to honor Shell's legacy than with this award. This year's recipient is a longtime faculty member who exemplifies these values and more. In addition to being a brilliant scholar and a widely respected award-winning teacher, she has boundless energy to serve the law school in many different capacities. She has been both Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Associate Dean for Research. She has overseen student groups as their formal advisor and as an informal but trusted faculty member. She has been on the hiring committee so many times that 2/3 of the folks on this stage probably owe their presence here today to her service. She is an honorary member of probably every administrative department and student organization in the law school because everyone at Temple Law knows she is always ready to offer a helping hand. This year, she has been an invaluable help to me as interim dean, and the law school is a better place because of her dedication to its success. This year's winner is my friend, the ever-fierce Professor J. Ramji Nogales.
I just want to say very briefly a huge thank you. It's an honor to serve this law school, and as Marco told us, all of the people who comprise this law school, the students, the staff, the faculty, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And now, I am delighted to introduce our commencement speaker. We have the extraordinarily privileged today of hearing from the Honorable Mitchell S. Goldberg, who is the former Chief Judge of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania and a proud Temple Law graduate, class of 1986. We are deeply proud to call him one of our own. Judge Goldberg's legal career began at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, where he worked in both the trial and appellate divisions. He transitioned to a multinational law firm, focusing on commercial litigation and ultimately serving as senior partner and manager of the firm's arson and fraud unit. In 1997, Judge Goldberg returned to public service as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. In 2003, he was elected to the Bucks County Court of Common Pleas. Judge Goldberg was then nominated to a seat on the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania and unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate in October 2008. He became Chief Judge in March 2024. Judge Goldberg returned to private practice in 2025 and is now senior counsel at the law firm of Blank Rome. One of his proudest accomplishments is that he was a member of the first Temple Law trial team. Through that role, he had the opportunity to interface with Temple Law icons, such as Eddie Olbaum and Joanne Epps, and more recently with Jules Epstein, who continues the Temple Law tradition of teaching the art and science of trial advocacy. Judge Goldberg remains steadfastly committed to improving legal education and the profession. He is an adjunct professor here at Temple Law, and various times teaching trial advocacy and federal practice, and he remains a trusted mentor to countless Temple Law students and a role model for Temple Law graduates. Would you please welcome Judge Goldberg to the podium?
Well, before I start my prepared remarks, I want to say that I definitely, when I went to this law school, was not nearly as popular as Marco. Not even close. So Marco and Nebi, phenomenal speeches. Congratulations. I also want to say that right before we all took the stage, I said to Dean Mary privately, and I promised her it would be a conversation between us, and now I'm going to tell everyone here. Her work as interim dean was amazing and super, super important, because everything's going beautifully, and then you have this interim spot. We've selected a phenomenal new dean, but very important work. Her enthusiasm and intellect has been amazing, and I just want to take a moment to thank her. And the other sort of impromptu thing I want to say is that you are now part of a great alumni family, and you're going to see there's a lot of outreach that goes on. And I want to do a shout out to one alum from the Temple Law School class of 1995. I'm sorry, 1955. Big difference, 1955. In 1955, my father, Larry Goldberg, graduated from this law school. And today is his 95th birthday. And I think he's watching. So my dad said, tell the class, the graduating class, congratulations, and I'll tell my dad on behalf of all of you, happy birthday. All right, so thank you, more formally, thank you, Dean Mary and the entire Temple Law School family for this incredible honor. This institution is immensely important to me, and I'm so grateful for this humbling, magnificent, and daunting opportunity to talk to such a large group of future lawyers who can, and I know actually will, make a difference in a time when the justice system really needs you. In 2017, the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, John Roberts, he was given an incredibly difficult assignment. I would say maybe the hardest assignment of his career. Remember, he argued in front of the Supreme Court 20-some times. He's the Chief Justice. And that assignment was this. He was tasked with delivering the commencement address for his son's 9th grade class. Now that speech, I've read it, it was unconventional. And I say that because rather than choosing typical themes like you have a bright future or you're going to make the world a better place, he was very serious and very frank and very foreboding, especially for 9th graders. So I'm going to quote to you from a small portion of that speech as an example. The Chief Justice said as follows: "Commencement speakers will typically wish you good luck and extend good wishes. I will not do that. And I'll tell you why. From time to time in the years to come, I hope you will be treated unfairly so that you will come to know the value of justice. I hope you will suffer betrayal because that will teach you the importance of loyalty. And sorry to say, I hope you will be lonely from time to time so you don't take your friends for granted." And a lot of the Chief Justice's speech, it had the same sort of very serious theme to it. Now, we can all think what we want about the Chief Justice, but I think his honesty and his frankness was refreshing. So in the next few minutes, I intend also to be candid and frank and honest and probably also a bit foreboding. And the reason is I intend to voice my grave concerns here and now about the state of our beloved justice system. And for those of you who wanted a feel-good speech, and I got a little of that at the end, but I apologize in advance, I really do. But I cannot pass up the opportunity to say these things to literally the future of our profession. So let me pose some questions for you to think about. First question, why are threats to judges in recent years up some 600%? These threats include the worst of all incidents, unspeakable, the recent murder of a judge's son. These threats include pizzas being delivered to judges' homes that were never ordered by the judge or his family, and they're delivered anonymously to send a message to the judge that we know where you live, we know your address, we know where your family is. Why are there unending online threats of harm, which for me personally, unfortunately included a threat to lynch me and to shoot me in the head for what some folks consider to be an unpopular ruling? Why is it now okay for powerful people when they lose in court to call judges things like deranged or losers or accuse them of being on the take? Can you imagine on the take? On the take means that the judge took a bribe. And to be clear, I've heard these slurs from leaders on both sides of the aisle, but certainly more recently, they come from one side more than the other. Why is it accepted behavior that when a judge rules against the current administration, a call for impeachment follows? In fact, as I speak to you right here and now, there is a United States congressman who posts pictures of judges outside his office in Washington calling for their impeachment. Why are law firms that support diversity having their properly issued security clearances revoked, making it impossible for them to represent certain clients? Now, this issue was argued just last week in the DC Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, listen to that argument. And during the argument, U.S. Circuit Judge Cornelia Pillard asked the administration's lawyer a hypothetical, and the hypothetical was whether the president could decide to revoke a security clearance from a law firm for the sole reason that the law firm represented certain ethnic or religious groups. And the administration's lawyer's answer was yes. Why are droves of lawyers leaving what I would say used to be the most trusted and respected law firm in our country, the Department of Justice? And why, I ask, do journalists continue to refer to judges as an Obama judge or a Bush judge, which in my opinion directly suggests that the judge based his or her ruling on their political affiliation? What an insult. That would be a complete violation of the judge's oath to do that. So to the Temple Law School class of 2026, I say this. What I consider to be the most important branch of our beloved democracy, the judicial branch, the very branch that will shape all of your futures, I say that branch is in trouble. And having been on the front lines of all of this, I'm here to tell you that I'm not being an alarmist. An article in the Atlantic magazine recently put all this into perspective and context, and it read as follows. Backsliding is difficult to counter if people retreat into private life, if critics grow quieter, if cynicism becomes epidemic, if knowledge is displaced by the noise of media outlets more concerned with inflaming than informing, then laws that protect all of us will weaken. When you pass the bar exam, you will take a solemn oath to defend the Constitution, and I'm asking all of you, are you going to take that oath seriously? If the answer is yes, you cannot be complacent. And this is more than just doing pro bono work. So I ask, what are you going to do about this dilemma? So rather than just sort of complain, I guess, I'm going to offer some concrete suggestions for you to follow. First, recognize that there is a problem. Don't put your head in the sand and think that other persons will fix it. Second, talk about the justice system to anyone who will listen. Explain what due process means, what a trial by a jury of your peers means. Explain that fair-minded judges usually do their best to get it right, and judges usually do, but sometimes they don't. And if they don't get it right, there's an appeal process in place to correct those mistakes. Talk about our precious First Amendment, freedom of speech and religion. Talk about laws that are in place prohibiting gender, race, and age disability discrimination. Talk about a legal system that prohibits illegal searches and seizures. In short, get up on your soapbox, climb to that mountaintop, and be heard. And tell everyone that we, in fact, have the best system of justice in the world. In this time and place, right now, on the day of your graduation, I'm telling you, a robust discussion is needed. Here's another suggestion. If you can, spend part of your career in public service. Do it. Serve your community and your country. You'll probably get more hands-on experience than you would in a private law firm if you do that. And if you can't afford public service, be active in your community on school boards, zoning hearing boards, or a nonprofit board. And my last suggestion, please don't roll your eyes at me when I say this, run for public office. Run, do it. Thank you. I didn't think I would get support for that one, so I thank you. We need fair-minded people to populate the other two branches of government. So when each of you receives your diploma in just a few minutes, and as you walk on this stage, I'm going to ask you a small favor. You come this way or come this way, I'm not sure which way, but when you come on the stage, I want you to think, pause, and commit in your mind to the ways you are going to stand up for our beloved profession. It's your job now. Being a lawyer comes with great responsibility, and I would implore you to understand that more than ever in this moment, our justice system needs your full attention. In 1966, in the throes of apartheid, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, who I think was one of the great champions of civil rights, he delivered a speech in Cape Town, South Africa, and he said as follows: each time someone stands up for an ideal, they send a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other, these ripples build a current which can impart enormous change. Class of 2026, send those ripples, but make them waves. Now, as promised, I'm going to end on a positive note, because maybe I have been a little too morose at such a joyous occasion, and again, I apologize for that. The privilege of serving as a federal judge for 17 years, and the last few years of that tenure as Chief Judge of the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, it gave me a very clear and broad view into the legal community and where Temple Law School currently stands. I've talked to a lot of lawyers from a lot of law firms and a lot of public interest groups. So I tell you to take your diploma with joy, because Temple Law School's standing in the legal community has never been better. You will now wear the Temple Law School badge of intelligence, of grit, of work ethic, of common sense, of high emotional intelligence, of honor and dignity and ethics. And all that will take you anywhere you want to go. Congratulations to all of you and your families.
Thank you, Judge Goldberg, for your remarks. Members of the class of 2026, the time has arrived. At Temple Law, we have a tradition that takes place as part of the degree conferral ceremony. Graduates whose close relatives are alumni of the law school can have their family members join them on stage. And we also invite the children of our graduates to accompany them on stage to celebrate this occasion. We have two groups of graduates today, our master's candidates and our Juris Doctor candidates. Assisting in the conferral and delivery of degrees for the first group of graduates, the class of 2026 master's candidates, which include our LLM and MST candidates, our trustee Stuart Cohen, Professor Jaya Ramji Nogales, and Assistant Dean John Smagula. At this time, I would ask Trustee Cohen to please join me at the center podium and ask Professor Ramji Nogales to please come to the podium on my right to lead the conferral.
Trustee Cohen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will the class of 2026 candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Juridical Science, Master of Laws, China, Master of Laws, International, Master of Laws, Taxation, and Master of Laws, Trial Advocacy, please rise? Trustee Cohen, these candidates have completed all academic requirements for their respective degrees. With the recommendation of the faculty of the James E. Beasley School of Law, I am pleased to present these candidates to you for the conferral of their degrees.
Thank you, Professor Ramji Nogales. By the authority vested in me on behalf of the Board of Trustees and on behalf of my class from Temple Law School, the 1977 graduating class of what was then the Temple University School of Law, I confer upon you with great honor the degree you've earned with all the rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations to each and every one of you.
Thank you, Trustee Cohen. I invite the graduates to be seated. I will now ask that Dean Smagula come to the podium to begin the delivery of degrees.
Thank you, Dean Ramji Nogales. And it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you the graduates of our Master of Laws programs. Januaria y Vanessa Batista. Felicidades. Marina Bandar. Saravoti Bot. Adrian Buchwald, summa cum laude. Fu Xiaofang. Geng Zihan. Alia Solange Goddard. He Jia. 胡家悦、胡奇、黄忠宁、Merve Kabak, Manmeet Kaur, Major Jahan Khan, Usman Khan, Sharanpong Laksanol Surang, Taehong Lao, Dennis Apia Larbi Ampofo, Li Yiming, Lin Zhiqian, Yu Xin, Ma Yicun, Tahir Mahmood, Meng Tianchu, Mohua Morshed, cum laude. Mu Shuqi, Ning Jiahui, Thais Elena Ramirez Aponte, Elaine Alexandra Rodriguez Guerrero, Hamza Salahuddin, Shi Qing, Gabriel Alfredo Smith, Sokni Song, Giorgio Vergari, cum laude. Juliana Villa Pelayas, Marta Lucia Wills with her child Christine, Xu Lingling, Xu Nuo, 杨世民。Berivan Yilmaz. Zhang Xinyue. Zhao Jingsen, cum laude. Zheng Adi. And now for our Master of Science in Taxation, Kaming Ao. Felix Stephen Mandato Jr. with daughter Amelia. And now for our LLM in trial advocacy, Angela Asai Atache. Jose Constantino Campos with honors. Matt Capacetti, with honors. With daughter Alba and father-in-law, trustee Stuart Cohen, Temple Law, class of 1977. Samuel Haas, with honors. With sons Jude and Jake. Waqaz Hassan. Gertrude Burabule Carrington Mordy, with sons Brandon and Bradley. Danielle Kennebrew. Daniel Klaproth with daughters Elle and Scotty. Wyatt Larkin with honors. Edmund Rolfing Shin with children Harper, Emerson, Tegan, and Tallulah. Tiffany Taylor with children Taylor, Tyrell, and Trammell. Brittany Aaron Wallace with honors. Congratulations to all of our master's graduates. You are a truly distinguished group of professionals.
To the LLM and master's classes of 2026, on behalf of the faculty and staff, our deepest congratulations. And now, Juris Doctor candidates of the class of 2026, the moment you've been waiting for. Assisting in the conferral and delivery of the degrees for the Juris Doctor candidates are Trustee Scott, Professor J. Aramji Nogales, Associate Dean Jeff Dunoff, and Associate Dean Jennifer Lee. At this time, I would ask Trustee Scott to please come to the center podium and ask Professor Ramji Nogales to again join us to lead our conferral.
Trustee Scott, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Will the class of 2026 candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor in the James E. Beasley School of Law please rise? Trustee Scott, these candidates have completed all academic requirements for their respective degrees. With the recommendation of the faculty of the James E. Beasley School of Law, I am pleased to present these candidates to you for the conferral of their degrees.
Thank you, Professor Nogales. By the authority vested in me on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the respective degree you've earned with all the rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations, class of 2026.
Thank you, Trustee Scott. I invite the graduates to take their seats. And I'm delighted to invite Associate Dean Jennifer Lee to the podium to now begin the delivery of the Juris Doctor degrees for the class of 2026.
Congrats to the class of 2026. Rotimi Adeoye. Nabeen Adhikari. Priya Asan Ahmad. Michaela Renee Anders, magna cum laude. Stephen Armstrong, magna cum laude. Ezekiel Arabuke. Adis Bayraktarevich, cum laude. Michael P. Barrett, Jr., magna cum laude. Maxwell Joseph Barrelay with child Rory. Samantha Stribling Bass, cum laude. Basu. Elizabeth Beck. Ceci Kuwabara Blanchard, cum laude. Amir Borgai. Gavin Brown, magna cum laude. Graham Brown, magna cum laude. Samantha Michelle Brown, summa cum laude. James Burnett, summa cum laude. Alexander J. Busterna. Evan Cabrejas. Megan Alexandra Cahill. Catherine Kane, summa cum laude. Paulina Simone Calistru, cum laude. Ryan Callahan, cum laude, with mother Margie Callahan, class of 1988, and sister Allison Callahan, class of 2018. Rochelle Casement, summa cum laude. Jamin Chen, cum laude. Sheila Chineke, with children Zimife and Zikora. Stephanie Evelyn Chodel, with children Michael and Nicholas. Ethan Cohen, magna cum laude. Amalis Cordoba Mustafa, magna cum laude. Amanda Kovaleski, magna cum laude. Abby E. Davidson, cum laude. Brian Alexander Davis, magna cum laude. Madeline Demchik, magna cum laude. Lydia DePaul, summa cum laude. Jack Despain Jo, cum laude. Francis DeGiorgio, with children Jameson, Braden, and Reese. Joseph Mitchell Dixon, magna cum laude. Nicholas Donner, cum laude. Kristen Page Drummons, cum laude. Johannes Dutoit. Taylor Edwards, cum laude. Ryan Eckelberg. Jake Elson. Connor Ianta, cum laude, with spouse Margaret McDermott, class of 2018. Anthony Preston Essick II. Eli Evans, magna cum laude, with children Quinn and Emerson. Victoria V. Faria. Sean Fay, cum laude. Madison Barnes Feeney, cum laude. Erica Lee Finkernagel, magna cum laude. Matthew Spencer Wagner Fritz. Megan Gold, magna cum laude. Cassandra Gibson. Haley McHugh Gillis. Damaris Garrett Jimenez, cum laude. Thomas Jural, cum laude. Jack Goldberg, summa cum laude. Benjamin Goldsmith. J. Marie Diane Gonzalez. Marco Granston, cum laude. Sarah Grinpass. Olivia Guerriero, magna cum laude. Jason Gadangan. Alana Hall. Dominique S. Hazel Chris, magna cum laude. I will now hand things over to Associate Dean for Research, Jeff Dunoff.
Isaac C. Hebert. Jesse Hemmons, cum laude, with children Mac and Neve. Sam Hilfiger. Zoe Hogue, cum laude. Dory Hoffman. Felix Honier, magna cum laude. William J. Huggett. Alyssa Humiston, summa cum laude. Nicholas Clement Hunsaker, summa cum laude. Seth Robert Israel, magna cum laude. Bailey Ix, cum laude. Sarah S. Jang. Brett Jaspers, summa cum laude. Elsa Louisa Johnson, cum laude. Francesca Allison Johnson. Melanie Kane, magna cum laude. Are you in the right order? Okay. Benjamin Canfer, magna cum laude. Zaid Kapaldia. Emily Rose Katzif. Alexis Kelly, cum laude. Reese Kelly. John J. Kenny with his father, John M. Kenny, Temple Law, class of 1983. Micha Kerbel, cum laude. Maxwell Klenk, magna cum laude. Acuna Correa. Jennifer Koshi. Understood. Jessica Cole. Emily Koo, cum laude. Jackson Kuziak, cum laude. Caroline M. Ladd. Anne Shoja Lalicker, magna cum laude. Rachel Kiera Wynn Lavelle, magna cum laude. Joseph Lighty. Teresa Reese Lemke. Cheyenne Alexis Limonius. John Carlo Lucia. Jack Henry Liss. Thomas A. Loudenslager. Ling Shi Lu, summa cum laude. Su Ong Lee. Hunter Maynor, magna cum laude with child Franklin. Natalia Elizabeth Maeja Baron, cum laude. Elizabeth Marr. MMR. My apologies, MMR. Muskan Mulhotra, summa cum laude. Stephen J. Malazzi, magna cum laude. Amelia Martini, magna cum laude. Colin McCrossan. Jake Herzing McGovern. Brenna McGowan, magna cum laude. Megan Caroline McGuire. Shub Mehta, cum laude. Nibi Mima, with wife Alexandra Dorosheva, class of 2024, and child Daniel. Bradley Joseph Metz, magna cum laude. Emily Josephina Mishaw Nolan, summa cum laude. Maxwell Patrick Monheit. Caden Mooney. Ellie Morrison, magna cum laude. I now invite my colleague and award winner, Professor J. Aramji Nogales, to step forward.
Rainerio Joseph Muradaz. Jessica Lucia Newberg. Solon Noritoki O'Malley. Bethany O, magna cum laude. Rabia Ola. Stephen Passioni. Samuel Parat, cum laude. Julia Rose Pascal, magna cum laude. Manuel Richard Paulus. Jam An Le Pham. Carolyn Posey with children Arlo and Janelle. Sita Premlal. Emily K. Preston. Robert Quay. Ryan Quinn with mother Dory Carl, class of 1985. Grace Catherine Quinones, cum laude. Jonathan Rocklin with father Mark Rocklin, LLM class of 2016. Pranav Ramesh, cum laude. Ella Rapp. Max Rocket. Marco Ricci, cum laude. Cameron Robinson, magna cum laude. Alexander Rodriguez. Scott Roman. Raquel Romero. Jessica Rosenthal, magna cum laude with child Nivan. Morgan V. Ross. Devin Rudisil, magna cum laude. Xavier A. Ruffin. Anna Rita Sachs, cum laude. Ashin Saju. Joanne Franklin Sanders, Jr. Douglas James Sasso, cum laude with child Caroline. Sagan Renee Schaefer, magna cum laude. Miran Sergeyev, cum laude. Christopher Severini, summa cum laude. Maya Shankar. Samantha P. Shernow. Morgan B. Sharon. Kevin Sherry, magna cum laude. Matthew Sabona, cum laude. Almost. Justin Siegel, cum laude with child Lennon. Sarah Sitzler, cum laude. Apriya Rose Smith, magna cum laude. Madison Smith, cum laude. Adam Jonathan Stambor. Haley Ray Stav, cum laude. Ryan Steele, cum laude. Noah Stevenson. Tyler J. Stern. Jin Tan with child Elis. Eric Thatch. Michael Thomas. Sarah Tickton, cum laude. Nina Torres. Jack Trisman, magna cum laude. Tommaso A. Trotti. Declan Morrow Urfer. Brenda Uriona. Jacqueline Vanessa Valadez. Brendan Vanek. Jolise Caitlin Georgia Waiters. Joseph Waldman, magna cum laude. Mandy Lynn Wassam. Emma Gordon Weiss. Stephen J. Williams. Andrew Zhu, summa cum laude, with mother Wei Hong Xing, class of 2006. Anna Grace Yamamoto, cum laude. Last but not least. Kelly Vino Zimmerman, cum laude. Congratulations, class of 2026.
What a wonderful afternoon this has been. In a moment, as we adjourn, I ask that you remain in your seats until the stage party exits. The marshals will then guide your procession out of the Liacouras Center. And as we conclude, please join me in thanking the numerous people who have arranged and conducted today's commencement, including the law school's administration, staff, and faculty marshals who spent many hours organizing today's beautiful ceremony. Class of 2026, I am grateful for all you have contributed to the law school. Your law degree is an invitation to imagine and build a better world. You are among the privileged few with graduate education and with the power to shape the next generation of legal practice. So one last request, class of 2026 of the Temple University Beasley School of Law, please rise as you are able. You have persevered and you have prevailed, and we cannot wait to see what you will do next. Please give a round of applause to these wonderful graduates and to everyone who supported them through law school. I now pronounce Temple Law School's 125th commencement in recess. Thank you and congratulations, everyone.